Okay, I think everything's good to go. Sock monkey, lights, camera, action. Hey everybody, I am Daddy Sam, and this is A Touch of Gay, episode 60 for Memorial Day weekend 2026. This episode is very special. If you're watching or you're listening, I will be in Chicago during this airing. I will not be here actually recording this. This is pre-recorded a little bit ahead of time, and it's actually going to be dropping a little bit ahead of time because it is topical around International Mr. Leather, which is where I'm going in Chicago. Today we are talking about my top 10 tips for the best experience that you can have at International Mr. Leather and Boot Black or similar events, big, huge LFK events. They are like going on a cruise ship. Now, International Mr. Leather is held at the Congress Plaza Hotel in Chicago. It's downtown, right next to the big park on the lake. Beautiful location. It's a historic hotel, which it's a double-edged sword when you stay in any hotel they call historic. And if you've done it, you know what I'm saying. It is a nice place, though. The entire event is headquartered at that hotel, and they do have some off-site events. I have honed in on this list of things that has helped me to make sure that I am secure, that I'm comfortable, and that my best possible experience is at hand. And so let's go down the list. We'll start with the very first one, which is if you're going to go to this or any one of these events, stay at the headquarters hotel. Now, it's generally more expensive. It's generally maybe not the best hotel, but it is the headquarters hotel. And the reason why is because you have the best proximity and the convenience to all of the events, the people, and most importantly, the action. It's where the action is. It's where everybody's at. Yes, because it does cost more in most cases, and I think that's certainly the case with the Congress Plaza Hotel, the amount of convenience and time savings that you get not having to go to and from the hotel from other parts of town or other hotels is, I believe, worth the extra money. Now, if you are going there right now this year and you haven't gotten reservations, you may not have that choice. They did just release some new rooms at the hotel recently, but it's been sold out for a while. The main thing is the fact that there are so many people. There are so many things going on at this hotel that you really need to never leave. And because there is a giant music festival happening across the street, the Sueños Music Festival, it is all weekend long, the same weekend that IML is going on. This event has headlining music artists from all over the world. It's huge. Tens of thousands of people go to this. They're using the same transportation systems that we would use if we were going to and from the hotel. And it's mobs and crowds of people. And what that means is if you're trying to use an Uber or a Lyft or a bus or a train to get to the hotel from your hotel, you're gonna find yourself competing with all those tens of thousands of people and paying the extra fees and the money. So just stay at the headquarters hotel. The last thing is you can meet somebody in the lobby and you might want to go spend some time with them. You can go straight upstairs to your room. Done. The next thing is you want to make sure you research the local area. Research the local area around the hotel. Get on your maps, get on your Google Earth, whatever you use. Find out where all the restaurants are nearby. Find out where all the stores are nearby. And find out where your pharmacy and medical needs might be met if you have concerns about certain things that you want to make sure that you can get a hold of something. Make sure you scope that stuff out. And most importantly, scope out the public transportation if you're going to be using that. If you're going to be bringing your car or renting one, make sure that you have your parking plan set up because it's not taken for granted down there in downtown Chicago. It can cost a lot of money to park. You might have to go off site. Just make sure you do your research on those logistics. Part of the reason you want to do that is because number 3 on the list here, have your normal diet of water, coffee, snacks, or other beverages and things you normally have to eat every day in your room. Plan to go to the grocery store the first thing when you get there. And there's a number of reasons for this. First of all, you're going to save a lot of money by not having to go to the bodega, the gift shop, or the restaurant every single time you get hungry. If you have some of the normal things that you're used to eating and drinking every day, your digestive system is going to be a lot happier with you. And if you're somebody who's going to this thing to play and have a good time with other people, that is, you don't want your digestive system launching all sorts of surprises on you because you've changed your diet up suddenly with just a bunch of road food. That can wreck your week. I always try to bring some, snack bars. We get water at the grocery store and try to have some of the staples in the hotel room. There is usually refrigerators in these hotel rooms so that you can, if you get thirsty or hungry, you can just run up to your room and grab a snack that's something you're used to eating. And it just makes it easier than having to, spend an hour trying to search for something in the hotel or a nearby store every time you get hungry. Number 4, pack medications, grooming supplies. Now, if you're somebody who has daily medications that you take, you probably don't need to be told to make sure you pack those. But I have also found it very helpful to pack things that are incidentals, like painkillers if you get a headache, digestive medications if your digestive system gets upset about something. You don't want to have to deal with that by walking down the street or having to spend time looking for a drugstore or dealing with that. I've had to do that before. I've had to deal with that exact same problem. And so I pack these things that I think I just might need. Lip balm is another big one. Maybe your muscles get sore, your joints get sore, and you're going to be on your feet a lot in an event like this. Make sure you plan for those things and that you pack those things along. And that goes for your sexual supplies. Anything like lube that you're going to be wanting or needing, if you're into, more involved play, chances are if you're a pro at that, you don't need me telling you what to be bringing. But you want to make sure you bring a nail file for existence if you plan on giving a friend a hand. And that's happened to me, and I've suddenly realized, oh, I'm not really prepared for that. Hand sanitizer. I will tell you that there is the vendor mart at the hotel for IML, and most of these big events have a vendor mart. So if you are traveling from abroad, let's say, or you don't really feel like packing lube and a bunch of those types of things on the plane, you can generally find that stuff from some of the vendors at the vendor mart. The brown bottles, I don't usually recommend people travel with those anyway on a plane, just because they can be kind of sketchy when you go through some of the checks. You also want to make sure that if you have clean out supplies that you want to have for the hotel and for the days of the event, you want to plan ahead for that. Whether it's a device for your shower that you plan on hooking up in the hotel shower, although they don't usually like that, but most everybody does it, or the other clean out supplies that you can get in a box, that whatever you like to use. Make sure you bring plenty of that stuff along, because the CVS down the street and some of the nearby drugstores, they run out of that stuff pretty quickly when thousands and thousands of men show up a block away. So make sure you bring that stuff with you if you can. The next thing, and this is a big one, pack a variety of clothing and gear items. Now, the weather in Chicago about right now can be hot, it can be cold, it can be everything in between, and it can be all of those things on the same day. It's very important to make sure that you bring mostly your leathers and your jeans and your boots and things like that. But you want to make sure that you plan a little bit for different types of occasions. There are a lot of different types of gear parties at this event where you might want to have a singlet. You might want to have rubber if you own it. You might want to bring shorts. You might want to bring skimpy things where you're just wearing a jock strap and a harness. You're just doing the bare minimum. My husband and I always bring a formal, just in case we're going to go out to a nice restaurant or something like that. We always try to have some street clothes along as well that are comfortable to walk in and to be in, and that can be warm if it's going to be out late at night. It's about attitude. Bring an open mind, a good attitude, and be open to new experiences and kinks. This is the mecca of leather, fetish, and kink. Everything under the sun is here, like a big giant smorgasbord, like a big buffet of kink. Don't close yourself off. Be open-minded to try new things and to accept new things. Allow yourself to experience things that you might not get at home in your local community. Take in some of the event workshops and the educational opportunities. There's panels during the daytime when not the big parties are going on. Great opportunities to sit and listen to leaders in our communities, talk about things that matter. Sometimes it's political, sometimes it's social, other times it's physical. And there are different types of kink parties throughout this entire event where you can go and you can meet people that are of a certain kink. You can get involved with them. You can learn more about what they do and talk to people who are really into it without maybe the judgment and the worry of judgment you might get locally with your friend circle. You can walk straight into this on a clean sheet of paper and feel like you're open to be able to learn and ask questions without the fear of judgment from people you might know. And that's a wonderful thing. And the most important thing is have a good attitude. You are going to see things at this event that you will not see anywhere else. Don't yuck anyone's yum. The first few times I went to this event, I saw new kinks and genres that I went, whoa. I mean, they really kind of knocked me for a loop. And what I learned is there are a lot of people that are into these things, and that's very important to them. And it's important not to disrespect people by saying, oh, I would never do that, or yuck, or just flat out rejecting something verbally, because there might be somebody right next to you in this crowd of thousands of people who might hurt their sensibilities, might hurt their feelings, unnecessarily so, because we're all into things that somebody out there might say yuck to. Next on the list, plan your itinerary menu, but be open to changing it up. There is so much going on. So much going on. There is an entire schedule of events at the hotel. There are overlapping events. There are times where you're going to have to pick one of 2 or 3 things to do. And then there's all of the off-site events. Almost all of the big clubs in town have their own complimentary local parties going on. There's a lot of big circuit parties in town with big DJs. Just make sure that you are aware of the fact that you can't do it all. You have to let go of the FOMO and enjoy the present moment where you're at. There are many times where I've been at one event and thought, oh, there's that other one over there. I'm missing it. And then not been happy at the one I'm at. You can always move and go to another one. If you're at an event and you're thinking, this just isn't my vibe, you can go somewhere else. The other thing I would suggest doing is if you're going to be cruising for playtime and connections, leave the apps turned off. It's almost impossible to use them in this environment because there are thousands upon thousands of people within 500 feet. Everybody's chatting with everybody. And it's almost impossible to have a meaningful conversation with someone, to have a meaningful connection with the apps. And why would you need to? You can walk down into the lobby of the hotel. You can walk through the vendor mart. You can walk the halls of the hotel. There's plenty of cruising to go on face to face. And you can find just about any size, shape, color, type of person that you're looking for. They're all here. And a lot of people are flagging with a hanky code. So you can get an idea pretty quick just on site what most people are into and so forth. I'm not saying don't use the apps. I've just found them to be almost comically useless in this environment because there are so many people that are right in front of your face. And it's sad because I've watched people sit in a corner in a crowded room and never visit with anybody, glued to the apps, just scrolling the apps. And it's like, honey, turn that shit off. Get out here and talk to people. We need to learn how to do that again. And I'm not judging any particular age group. I'm not judging any particular generation. But there comes a time to turn that shit off and just be a human being and let's talk. Let's do that. And let's go upstairs and have some fun. Yeah. And I would finish this whole little bit off by simply saying, look, you can't do it all. So just be open to changing your plans and roll with the flow. You might meet a group of people that are saying, hey, we're going to go do this. Come along with us. Or do you want to try this? Come with us and try this. We're going to go over here and do that. If your heart leads you, follow. Because you might meet new people that you never thought you'd meet. I have a lot of people who I consider part of my chosen family that I have met at this event over the years. That was it was a chance meetup. And the next thing you know, I love them to death and they love me and their chosen family. And you have to allow yourself that and being flexible, saying yes, and just not being too rigid about this entire thing is one of the ways that you can do that. And tailing off on this last one, where you're planning your itinerary and you can't do everything, make sure that you relax and allow yourself some downtime, some rest. Very important because this is a high energy environment. It can be a very intimidating environment. If you have social anxiety of any level, This is the coup de grace of anxiety-inducing events. You have got thousands of the hottest men in the world packed together tightly, not dressed very, I mean, it's testosterone, but the good way, the good kind, and it's everywhere. It can be very intimidating. Even if you're comfortable there, it can be very high energy. It's very sexual. There's stuff going on every minute of the day, and there's just action, action, action. And you have to remove yourself from that occasionally just to decompress a little bit. So make sure you plan time to get away from it, go to your room, maybe take a nap, put the FOMO aside, and allow yourself to rest. If you have a meditation setup that you do normally, maybe some kind of a daily quiet time or a meditation, don't skip that. Make sure you make time for that to do your normal routines. As part of the normal diet, do your normal spiritual routine as well. Make sure that you maybe even step off the premises from time to time. If you're staying at the hotel and you're part of the cruise ship, we're not in the middle of the ocean. You can go to a restaurant down the street. You can go to the park across the street. You can get away from the high energy environment. Go take a tour, a river tour just north of town. There's so much that you can go see and do and walk to from where the hotel is without having to spend too much money to just get yourself away from all of that. And after about 2 or 3 days of it, I find myself doing exactly that. Give yourself some downtime. It's very important because it will wear you out. It will wear you out. And tailing off of that, one of the most important things I'd recommend is don't overindulge in alcohol or drugs. And I'm sober today, but I used to drink a lot and use drugs a lot. And this would have been the event of the year for me to just party like there's no tomorrow. Be careful with that, because as I just got done talking about, this is a high energy event. It will chew you up and spit you out. And if you're high, if you're drunk, that can actually make that worse for you. And I've seen it where people, especially in the first couple of days of the event, got really shit-faced and made an ass of themselves. And then they sort of had to walk around for the rest of the event in the coming days, sort of ducking stares and maybe even staying away from certain people. I have seen people get kicked out of the event, kicked out of the hotel because they overdid it. And I've also seen people that were high on meth, for example, or some of the party drugs, where they just were so out of it that they couldn't possibly be enjoying the event. There was one guy one year that he was a couple rooms down from us. He was clearly there for the party, and he was awake pretty much the whole time. Every time we saw him, no matter what time of day, he was pinned, and he was just spinning and spinning and spinning. And the last time we saw him was we were going up to a room for the night, and he was on the elevator with us, and he was high as a kite, and he was in some paranoid delusions and having some trouble with that. The next day, Chicago PD is out in front of his room with a forensic box and all of that, and they had his room taped off. And that happens every year. We see people every year getting wheeled out of the hotel into an ambulance because of some kind of medical emergency, and they're not all regular medical emergencies. Sometimes people just overindulge, and in this high energy environment, it can bite you. So if you're somebody who is on the edge of whether you have your alcohol or your drugs under control, just be very wary of that. Make sure that you hydrate, that you take care of yourself, because just on a more common level, it's no fun to spend half the day with a hangover when there's so much fun to be had. There is so much going on, people to hang out with and play with and have a good time with, that you don't want to have to be sleeping it off for half the day. What I would also tell you is if you're somebody who is struggling with this and you're saying to yourself, well, I don't really want to go to this event because alcohol is everywhere. There's a bar, regardless of where you're at in the building, there is a place to buy alcohol. There's a bar serving alcohol. There are recovery meetings there as well. There is a group of sober people that are attending this event, that are living at this event all week long. I include myself in that camp. We have recovery meetings twice a day, and that's not only at IML. A lot of these big LFK events do the same thing. So you can go and meet your tribe. You can Share the things that are bothering you. If you're having social anxieties, if you're having trouble with cravings, whatever that may be, you can go hang out with people that get you and get to know them, and you can hang out with them during the event. You can find safe spaces. There's always a safe space at these events, and it just takes seeking them out. I'm getting into the weeds on that part a little bit, but if you're somebody who just loves to drink and party and have a good time, however you do that, just be mindful of the fact that this event goes for days and days and days. And you got to pace yourself a little bit, and well, it can get pretty expensive too. So that's it. That is my top 10 list of strategies for your best experience at IML or similar events. If you would like to drop a comment, you can do that on our YouTube channel. You can also send me an email if you're just listening to us on the podcast platforms. You can send me an email at daddysam@atouchofgay.com. That's my name, Daddy Sam, at atouchofgay.com. That's our website. You can also follow us on social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. We don't do the X because it's just a cesspool. Yuck. I'm yucking somebody's yum right now. A Touch of Gay Pod is our handle on all of those. You can find us on all of the big major podcast platforms. Our podcast drops every Sunday, and on YouTube a little bit earlier because I like people to be able to see me, and that's my primary platform that I use. And it's also a little bit earlier this week because we recorded this earlier. It went live earlier. Even our podcast goes live just a little bit early this week, and part of it's because this is topical. If you're coming to IML, even for the weekend, these are just some strategies that I want you to hear about before you actually leave and you have time to do this stuff. And lastly, if you are watching me on YouTube right now, you get to see what I'm wearing. And this is another one of my brand new leathers. This is a Berlin bar vest that I made, and following up on the one that I showed you last week, which was navy blue. This one is black with contrast stitching. And the armbands that I made for the blue vest are black and blue armbands, and they have the same stitching. These armbands can go with this vest or the blue one, kind of interchangeable, because armbands are more trouble to make. So this is the new look, and what's most important about this look is on the back, instead of the diamond stitch pattern like I did on the navy blue vest, this actually has the Arizona leather pride flag. Now, the Arizona leather pride flag was designed by our Mr. Anvil Leather 2025. He will be competing at IML. And so in support of him, I took the flag that he designed and that our local leather club now sells, and I've got it on my back. It was a lot of freaking work. So I love to show off my handiwork. I am not the best leather crafter on the planet, but I do it good enough to wear my own stuff without apology. And so that is our episode for today, my friends. I hope to see you at IML, and if not IML, some other future event. And I hope what we just talked about today helps. So if you're on the podcast platforms, please subscribe, leave us a nice review. If you're watching me on YouTube right now, you can see our latest episode right there to my left, your right, and below that big round circle, you can subscribe, and please do. We need to build our subscribership up. Well, we just do, because we're just getting started. So have a nice weekend, folks. Happy Memorial Day.